Hi, ladies, and welcome to our conversation about networking. A lot of you on your registration forms had said that you were interested in networking, so we are bringing you this conversation about networking, and it is going to be with the amazing Amanda Lombardo. Thank you so much for joining us today. Amanda, if you could take just a few minutes and introduce yourself to the girls, tell them a little bit about what it is that you do.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Lombardo. I'm a makeup artist. I've been doing this professionally for 5 years, but I'm also the co-founder for a networking group in Houston, and we also have a chapter in the lower Texas area called the Rio Grande Valley. And our networking group is called the CNC Collective, and it's for men and women who are business professionals.
Awesome. And that's the reason why I asked you when I thought about doing this. You were the first person who came to mind to sit down and talk with me about networking and what it is and everything. And partly because you have started this group, but then also because you are one of the most amazing networkers that I know. You really know how to work the crowd and connect people. So I wanted to have that conversation with you. So in your definition, like if you were to explain to somebody what exactly is networking, how do you explain it to them?
That's a great question. So for me, networking is about building my net worth. And what I mean by that is just proactively seeking out people who align with my core values. Because what happens is when you start to meet people in that kind of same area, then people will they'll work for you and you'll be able to reciprocate those things, right? And so that's what networking is to me. It's just kind of building my network to build my net worth.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, I don't know, ladies, if you've heard the saying before or not, but when you're going and getting a job or you're going for that promotion, some of it is in what you know, but a much bigger portion is in who you know. So, and that's all about that whole network of really making sure that you're making those connections. So when you go networking and you're going to that meeting, are you like, what is your plan of attack or your strategy? Are you in there trying to collect as many business cards as possible, or what is it that what's your goal for it?
Yeah, for sure. Like when I go into a networking event, I always want to do a little bit of research on what the goal is for that initial company that's holding the event, right? So if it's an event geared towards women in business, I want to make sure that when I do talk to people, it's going to be something in regards that will speak to them. And so I kind of tailor my talks as a makeup artist in ways that I can be of a benefit to them. And I always make sure that I know if someone asks me, like, what is a good referral for me or what's my target market, that I'm ready to let them know and be very specific and decisive about who it is that I'm looking for, right? But I'm not passing out my business cards unless someone asks me for one. I'm not going around and just kind of blindly placing them, hoping someone will call me. I want to make a lasting impression, and for that, that means genuine connection for me. And it can take anywhere from 6 to 7 times to meet someone in order for them to come back and say, hey, I really would like to hire you for services. And that's what I go in with. It's not to go in and hope that I get that customer right away. It's to basically say, I'm genuinely interested in what you do. And chances are I might know someone who may need their services. So it's kind of a quid pro quo.
Absolutely. And I really like and want to make sure to point out some things that you brought up in that response is one, researching the group, the organization that you're going to, who's doing that event or what is this group, researching them, really making sure that this event that you're going to go to is going to be one where there is value for you and you can add value to the people that are there. So researching, having a strategy when you go in, knowing what you're going to talk to people about. I thought that was a really good point to bring up as well. So researching the group and the event, thinking about what it is that you want to say, so that way you are, what's the word I'm looking for? You're spotlighting yourself in a way that is congruent with what is going on with that event.
Oh,
And then
for sure.
also then like the whole, like the business card. We're going to talk a little bit about referrals and what those are, but the business cards. And ladies, you can have a business card. So some of you might be thinking like, well, I don't have a job, that kind of thing. You don't have to have a business card to have a card. You can have, I call them contact cards. So it's got your name, it has your email address, a professional looking email address, by the way, not one that's, hey, good looking at gmail.com or something like that. Something that's got a little bit more of a professional, like your name at gmail.com or something. And then a phone number where you can be contacted, and even maybe a little bit of a blurb of the industry that you're looking to get into. And then, so that about the business cards is just not handing them out. I always kind of think about it as, those cost good money. And so you really want to make sure that they're getting into the right hands. And then also the fact of what you talked about, like remembering the first time that you meet somebody isn't going to be the time that they're going to be like, oh, hey, you're hired. Or, oh, hey, yes, I want to do business with you. That it really is something where you are looking at, networking is about building relationships with people, and really taking a genuine interest in how you can help one another, rather than what can you do for me. So, how do you find, well, before I ask that question, so explain to the girls a little bit about what a referral is.
Oh, sure. So when I'm talking to people and I will ask them, like, what is their target market? I want to know what a client looks like for them. Like, what is the client that produces the most return on investment for them, right? Like for myself, it's a busy professional mom. And I know I don't really like to use the word busy because it's kind of a dirty word now. But, let's just say more proactive professional mom. And so that's my client, the one who's looking for, always looking for branding photo shoots or things like that, or needs content for their marketing, like say they're a realtor or if they're in, sales or things like that. So for a referral, it's kind of like, who is it that is going to come to you and get the full package, or, take what services you provide. That's how I would describe it.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So it's like, and again, in the instance for you ladies, if you are, you're not, before you're in your career and you're out networking, trying to look for a job, it's, who can connect you, who can either help you get a job, get an internship, or who can connect you to someone. Referral is my being able to connect you with someone who can give you what it is that you're looking for, that internship or that job. And then you in turn are looking and asking them about how can you connect them to the person that they're looking for. So there are, you guys may not realize it, but there are thousands of networking opportunities. You could literally network 24/7. So, but then it becomes well, where do I find these thousands of groups that are out there? So, Amanda, how do you find the networking groups that you're looking for?
So before I started the CNC Collective, I would find people on Eventbrite. I would find groups. I would actually go, and you can tailor the kind of the events that you're looking for. And also I would ask around. I would ask other people, and then they would say, I attend this networking group. Why don't you join me? And I love that because I was walking into a room and I immediately felt comfortable knowing that I know somebody in that room. And so I could work the room, but also know, oh, I'm with so-and-so and she invited me. So that's always a great way to kind of find other networking groups. It's just by word of mouth. Facebook has a ton of groups that meet in person. I generally enjoy meeting in person, but we know things have changed a little bit right now. But it will continue. Months from now, hopefully, we'll get back to getting to get out there and just kind of meet in person.
Absolutely. Eventbrite, there's also Meetup that has places where you can do a search for networking groups. And then there's also, when you do have, when you've got that internship, you've got that job, there are associations within those companies that will help you with networking, and they have certain events. But, you're sitting there, you're like, well, I'm in high school. I can't network then. I've got to wait till I'm in college or whatever. And that isn't necessarily true, because you've got organizations within your school where you can start doing some networking, where you are getting the opportunity to meet peers, because that's all networking is meeting with your peers. So making sure that you are involved with different organizations in your school, both in high school and when you get to college, getting involved with those organizations. You can be in, junior league, you can be in student councils. Those kinds of organizations will get you to meet other people that you don't know, and build, like Amanda was saying, your network to build your net worth. So let's say, for instance, that I'm a high school student and I'm going to an event, and it's maybe like a student council kind of led kind of thing, or I'm in college and with one of the organizations on campus is having an event, and they're calling it a networking event, and this is my first time, and so I'm nervous. One of the first things that's going to go through my head is, what in the world am I supposed to wear to this thing? So what do you wear? How do you dress for networking?
I see a lot of people who will dress in what we call their brand. And, that's great. That's preferential. People, people will use like their own like colors that they always like to use, it that they're easily noticed. But I mean, if you're younger, you're in high school and you're in college, I would just say go with what looks, presentable. Make sure that you have, a nice iron shirt, like it's not wrinkled, that you look polished, right? A lot of times there are a lot of trends right now, so you want to take more of a modest approach. And by that, it means, not having a blouse that maybe is belly bearing, or, that a skirt is too high. Just taking more of a modest approach in these times when you go and you are just meeting with other people. I typically dress for success. I like to make sure that whatever I'm wearing, I may have a conversation piece, like maybe just like a piece of jewelry or something, not necessarily meant for my own business, but just because I feel like sometimes people may find me more approachable if I have something that's, kind of fun, or, they might say something like, oh, I really like that necklace. And it's just a nice little kind of opener for some people.
Awesome. That's a great points. And my suggestion is when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, if you're like, oh, this would be a really cute outfit to wear out to the club, that's probably not the outfit to wear to a networking event.
Save it for the club. I'm sure
exactly.
You look great.
Exactly. Or that's going to look great when I go to the party, or that's not the outfit to wear then.
Yeah.
Definitely. I like how you said, like a little bit more modest.
Mm-hmm.
Is definitely the safer route to go.
That's right.
For sure. So when you are out networking, the other kind of thing that might make people nervous and apprehensive after what do I wear is like, what do I say? What do I say to people? How do I meet people? What am I supposed to? Once I get there, I'm in the door. Now what do I do? So, any tips?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of times people go in feeling like they have to have it all together when they're meeting other people. And people might say, what are you doing? And you don't really know what you're doing at the moment. And that's okay. You can just say, you know what? I'm just here to meet people. I just want to see what other people are doing, and that's all right. You don't have to say what you're going to major in college, and and a lot of times you should remember that people really just want to hear themselves talk. So just ask questions. They say, well, I went to this college, and you can ask them, oh, what did you do? How did you like it? Or ask them things about themselves. And they'll appreciate that, because a lot of times when you're in a conversation with someone, they're just waiting for their chance to talk, right? So listening is a lost, I think, art. And so it's just great to just walk in and just get to meet people, and then stay connected with them, and make sure that when you go to other events, or if you find something you like, if you find a connection with someone, you can ask them to join you. And it's just a great way just to kind of forge business relationships, or professional relationships, as I call it.
Absolutely. I like the tip that I was told a long time ago, because I was super nervous when I first started networking, and walk in the room, and I don't know what in the world I'm going to do. I don't know what in the world I'm going to say. I don't know a soul in the room. And so a piece of advice that someone gave me is, when you walk into the room, look around. There is more than likely going to be someone who's kind of standing off by themselves, kind of checking out what's going on. Chances are they are feeling just as anxious as you are. And go up to them and introduce yourself, and start that conversation with them. They are they're the same kind of antsy place that you are. And so that's a great place to start. And I have to say that I have met, using that technique, I have met a ton of amazing women that way, who were just as nervous. I mean, we've even laughed about, like, I'm so nervous, I don't know what I'm doing here. Even kind of part of the conversation. So that's a great tip if you're going to an event that you don't know somebody. What would be, and I brought up, like, so what's your, how do you tell people how to introduce themselves? Because that's huge at a networking event. You're doing a lot of that, introducing yourself. So how do you tell people to do that?
Yeah, I would say that body posture is one of the number one things that you want to be cognizant of. In any situation, you want to be open. So let's just say someone comes up to you, and you want to give them your full attention, right? So you want to make sure you're facing them. I'm not an expert at body posture, but I can tell you this works for me every time. And I just kind of take them in. When somebody comes up to me, I'm there, my arms are opened, and I'm not crossing my arms. I'm approachable, right? So when you someone introduces themselves and they come out to shake your hand, you don't want to give what's like a fish hand, right? You don't want to just do this. You want to give a nice handshake, and make eye contact. I mean, you don't have to be creepy about it and just stare straight, but just slight eye contact is always nice. And just remember, we're all here for the same reason when networking, and we're all human. So it's just, have fun with it, and that'll show. And I think people will gravitate towards that, and just, shoulders back. And a lot of times we're so stressed out, our shoulders are up here. Just roll those shoulders and just relax. And when you introduce yourself, and a lot of times I'm so nervous. I've been nervous on several occasions where I'm at events that are with high profile attendees, that I sometimes will forget the person's name. So when they tell me their name, I will actually say it in my head 3 times. And then before we end the conversation, I may say, nice to meet you, Alex. Thank you so much for introducing yourself, or just, making sure I say their name. And another important thing is, you will have some people who will automatically give you their card unsolicited. And so when they do hand you their card, when you take it and actually look at their card, and make sure that you're not just throwing it in a bag. A lot of times at events, you'll get what are called goodie bags and have lots of fun little things. But take it and actually take the time to look at it. That's I feel it's kind of nice, a bit of etiquette there to just say, oh, okay, they're giving me their card. I'm going to look at it. And I may comment like, oh, this is a great graphic, or, great logo, just something to be genuine about. You don't just have to give out some compliments just for the sake of that. But again, when introducing yourself, if you go to someone, just make sure that you're making eye contact, that you're extending your arm and giving a firm handshake, and that your body posture says confidence, and that you're happy to meet them and excited to be there.
Absolutely. Those are great tips. And one other thing too, I noticed when I was at an event with some high school students and was introducing myself, that I did have a great number of young ladies who did amazing handshakes, nice, good, firm handshakes, made eye contact, and that was it. So if this seems a little obvious, I apologize. But when someone walks up to you at one of these events or anywhere, and they present their hand to you and they say like, hi, I'm Christina Mead. It's nice to meet you. The customary thing, the ritual, the tradition is that you would return the handshake, looking them in the eye, and return the, hi, it's nice to meet you. I am, and then state your name. So I think that within our digital age, that hasn't become super obvious. And so making sure that you're stating that. Another thing that is a tip that I do, or a little trick that I do to help me with remembering things. One, as soon as they tell me their name, like usually when they're introducing themselves, or I will say their name back to them right then. And even say like, hi, my name is Alex and I'm so-and-so. And like, hi, Alex, it's such a pleasure to meet you right now. And that kind of thing. So that way that helps embed that name in my brain a little bit. And then when it comes to the business cards, we're going to talk about this here in just a few minutes, but there are going to be some people that you absolutely for sure want to make sure that you do not forget to follow up with them after the event. And one thing that you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you have their business card. And then you're going to have some people who are going to hand you their business card. And it maybe it's unsolicited, that kind of thing. So I try to, when I go to events, when I'm picking out what I'm going to wear, is to wear something that has pockets. Whether it's a blazer, it's my pants, something like that, but I've got pockets. And I designate my pockets. Like the pocket on the left are the people that I super duper want to make sure that I am following up with. And the people on the right are they were nice to meet kind of thing, and follow up, that kind of thing. So when I get the business cards, I then know you do the look at it, that kind of thing, and then I put it in which pocket, which pile it is that I need to make sure that I'm following up with right away. Because what'll happen is you'll get home and you'll forget, things will happen, you'll get busy doing things or whatever, and you'll be like, oh man, I can't remember who is what, that kind of thing. So if I at least know that I've got these cards in my pocket, that I know that these are the ones that I need to be sure that I'm going to follow up with. So those are just a couple of tricks, and you're going to come up with your own little tricks to help you remember things. I had somebody else to share something that what they do is after the event, they get in their car and they have a pen and they're actually writing notes on the business cards about that conversation, what they want to follow up with them about, that kind of thing. And that's another way to help you remember within that follow-up. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's actually what I do. I write that down on the card, or I keep a little packet of Post-it notes. So once I'm, ended the conversation with them, I'll go and put a Post-it note on their card to follow up, because I want to be able to follow up, within 24 hours. I mean, that's, if I don't do it within 24 hours, for my own personal response time, I just forget, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And since we're talking about following up, what are your habits or your advice on following up? Like, what's the best way to follow up? And again, I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is my first time doing this. I don't even know what to say. So what do you say in your follow-up?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been to events where there's been over 500 women, and, like you, in my pile of where we meet, I typically in my conversation with them, if I tell them about a service I have or something that they have that I'm excited about, I'll make sure to make that note. And then I'll actually ask them, what's the best way to follow up? What do you prefer, an email or call? Some people will even say, send me a text. And so I just make sure that, I ask them that one question, and then I'll just write, E, T, or C for, E for email, T for text, or C for call. I seldom get the call, but when I do get the call me, then I know that they're pretty serious and I want to call them.
Absolutely. And then so for those people that like I want to follow up with, and even if you've just met them, even if it's somebody that you're like, well, they're not the person that they're not the person I was looking for or whatever, or they were the person who unsolicited handed me their business card. A lot of times what I'll do is it's just a nice little something short, simple. Hey, it was a pleasure meeting you yesterday at, and then I list the event, like the name of the event. So that way, because there's a good chance they've gone home and they've forgotten who you are momentarily. And so you want to kind of trigger their memory on that. Hey, it was a pleasure meeting you at the, Network for Good luncheon. Really enjoyed our chat. And then if it's somebody that we've had a substantial conversation with, and it's especially something that I really wanted to trigger their memory about in regards to like how we can collaborate together or something, I'll bring up, it was great chatting with you about the event that you're doing next week, or here's the information that I promised I would send you, that kind of thing. So I always start that email off, that initial email to that person off with when and where I met them. So that way that helps trigger that for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are people who are, veteran networkers, and they may go to 3 networking events on a weekend. So saying I met you here really does jog the memory for a lot of them. And I know even myself, if you go to an event where there's 500 women, you need to make sure that, and men, you need to make sure that you trigger that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really like the fact too that you said that you asked them what's the best way to follow up with them. I think that's really very key, because a lot of people like to be like, I myself, I much prefer email. Other people much prefer text. Me, I lose text. So, so really making sure, because especially with that person that you want to follow up with, you want to make sure that that email or that text, that next contact gets them where they're going to see it and be more likely to respond to you, especially if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for an internship, that kind of thing. That's really very important. Make sure that that's a question that you're asking them. Are there any other tips, like maybe things to do or things to not do when it comes to networking that you want to share with the ladies?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're on social media, I would say that a lot of times, and this is kind of, people will take an opportunity to network on social media, and what I like to call it, the opportunist. And that might be someone who says, like on a personal note, they may say, well, I've had a really hard day. My, asthma is really kicking in. And let's just say that you know someone who has a product or something, and you should, then you take that opportunity to say, you should call my friend so-and-so. And then that person will say, oh yeah, I can call you. And then they bombard them with email and things like that. I know that for the girls listening today, I mean, that's going to be a long time coming, but I can tell you that for any opportunity that presents itself, I mean, take time to forge a relationship with someone, whether it's for an opportunity to intern. Let them know who you are as a person, and they will pick you if you're right for that position. And so, and I feel like that goes along the lines for any kind of, anything that comes into play, right? So again, just when you see an opportunity, it's okay to message that person and say, I'm interested in this. What steps should I take in order to, like I said, maybe intern with you? But bombarding someone with emails or constant calls, that sometimes can overwhelm someone. So just take time, take a deep breath, and the right opportunities will come to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, the whole bombarding thing for sure is a big no-no. Follow up, but don't be at a point where um, it is on the verge of like stalking or annoying or that kind of thing. You definitely do your due diligence in following up with them, but then yeah, take a step back, breathe, and not do the bombarding thing, and build that relationship again. Take the time to build a relationship. You know that you want things to happen really fast, and you might feel like, oh my gosh, I need this internship. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. There's a
Yeah,
difference between bombarding and being persistent, I think.
that's right.
There's definitely ways of doing that, and it is I don't know, there's that fine line, you know what I mean?
Sure.
There's definitely, if you but following up with people is just so key, and I think is something that a lot of people forget to do. Even people my age neglect to follow up with people,
Right.
and so when you do, that really helps set you apart.
Oh, absolutely. Feel it does set you apart. And when someone asks you to follow up with them about maybe doing an event or just collaborating on something, and that'll show them that you are going to be responsible and you're going to be holding yourself accountable for anything that they're asking you to do in the future. It shows who you are as a person.
Absolutely. So, ladies, those are just a few tips, a little bit of explanation about what networking is, um, and why it's an important part for you to help you um, build yourself up for success. It really is important for you to start thinking about who it is that what your goals are and who it is that you're wanting to become, so that way that helps you get structured in what kind of opportunities am I looking for, what kind of organizations do I need to be looking for, and then when you find that organization, don't just join the organization, get involved with the organization, so that way it helps increase the number of people that you have an opportunity to interact with. And it shows that you actually care as well about that particular organization, and that again, that goes a long way with people. And so really keeping in mind those pieces. I know as high school students there doesn't seem to be as many opportunities for networking. This is going to be something though, with juniors and seniors in high school, start really thinking about that and looking towards those opportunities, and going, especially for you going into college, looking for those internships and summer jobs. Networking is really going to help you find some amazing opportunities. If you've got any questions for Amanda, there's the comment section below, so be sure to leave your questions and comments there, and we will pop back in and answer those for you. You guys have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, and thank you, Amanda, so much for taking the time today. Sorry, I'm following up with you right now. Thank you so much for taking the time for talking with us today. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, ladies. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.